Our correspondent Camilo Montoya Galvez has learned the Trump administration is preparing plans to use a health authority known as Title 42, which you remember was used during the pandemic, to restrict migrant agents' entries across the southern border. Now they want to invoke it on the basis of other diseases like TB. Is that warranted right now? Is TB that much of a problem?
I think from a policy standpoint, the administration has done a good job shutting down flows across the border. So I'm not sure why they're reaching for a public health measure to try to provide an additional provision, additional tool. They seem to have done a good job with the law enforcement that they're doing at the border. Just from the objective standpoint of TB and the risk of TB being transported across the border, TB incidence rates are high in the countries where immigrants are coming from, but they're not exceedingly high relative to other countries. So you look at a country like Mexico, the incidence of TB is about 30 cases per 100,000 people. In Venezuela, where there's also immigrants coming from, it's about 45 per 100,000. That compares to about 10 per 100,000 in a country like England. But you look at a country like India, the incidence is about 200 per 100,000. In South Africa, it's about 500 per 100,000. So there's a lot of countries around the world where people come in from all the time, where the incidence of TB is much higher than what it is in the countries where people are coming across the border from. Now, you can argue that people coming in the country from South Africa or India are going through regular checkpoints where they might undergo some screening. But I think just purely from an objective public health standpoint, there's probably parts of the world where we have immigrants coming in that provide a larger risk of the transmission of TB than across the border.